Right now, millions of people are swiping, texting, refreshing, reorganizing their entire week around someone who gave them a maybe. And then there's a quiet group of people who just don't. They don't chase. They don't pursue. They don't perform. And it isn't because they've given up on love. It's because something in their psychology genuinely works differently. Attachment researchers would tell you their wiring is tuned to a channel most people never find. Stick with me, because by the end of this you might realize you've been one of them all along, or that you quietly want to be. Because not chasing relationships doesn't make you cold. It doesn't mean you're afraid of love. And it definitely doesn't mean something's broken in you. It might mean you understand something about connection that the people chasing it their whole lives never quite figure out. Here's the strange part. The less these people chase, the more grounded they seem. While everyone else is anxious, refreshing, decoding mixed signals, rereading a text for the 5th time, they're calm, almost annoyingly calm. And if you saw our last video, this'll feel familiar, because it's the exact same wiring as the people who don't chase money. The same quiet refusal to outsource their worth to something outside themselves. The same ability to look at what everyone's frantically pursuing and think, I'm okay without it. So today, we do what we always do here. Take something people misunderstand and look at the real psychology underneath. There are 3 kinds of people who stop chasing relationships. Then we'll get into the mechanism almost nobody talks about, the difference between chasing love and attracting it. And finally, the one thing all 3 of them understand. Let's get into it. The first group didn't start this way. They chased once, completely. They were the text first, the overgiver, the one who always loved harder than they were loved. And somewhere along the way, it cost them. Maybe they were the kid who learned that love was something you had to earn, that affection came and went depending on whether you were good enough that day. Psychologists call the blueprint we build in those early years our attachment style, and someone who grows up chasing a love that keeps slipping away often develops what's called an anxious attachment, a constant, low-grade fear that connection is about to vanish, so you cling harder to hold it in place. But here's what's fascinating. There's a point where the nervous system flips. After enough disappointment, some anxiously attached people don't get more anxious. They go quiet. They stop reaching. From the outside, it looks like avoidance. From the inside, it feels like something simpler, relief. They think, if chasing love only ever brought me pain, I'll just stop chasing. And the peace is immediate. No more waiting by the phone. No more decoding. No more auditioning for someone's affection. Picture a man who spent his 20s as the one who always cared more, always initiating, always planning, always the last to be picked. By 30, he just stops. And for the first time in years, his shoulders drop. That's not coldness. That's a person who got tired of abandoning himself to be chosen. Now, the quiet danger here, and we'll come back to it, is that guarding can slowly calcify into walls. But make no mistake, this group isn't broken. They're protecting a heart that once loved without a single limit. But the second group never got hurt like that at all. They just refuse to do something almost everyone else does, without even thinking. This group doesn't chase, because they simply will not settle. And I don't mean that in the arrogant, nobody's good enough for me way people throw around online. I mean something quieter, and honestly, more disciplined. They've decided that being alone is better than being with the wrong person, and unlike most people who say that, they actually live by it. Because here's the truth almost no one admits. Most people are terrified of the empty chair across the table. That fear of being alone quietly runs the whole show. It's why people stay in relationships that emotionally ended years ago. It's why they chase someone who showed them exactly who they were, and then act surprised. Psychologists have a term that lives right next to this, the scarcity mindset. When you believe love is rare, and you might not get another shot, you grab whatever's in front of you and hold on for dear life. The selective ones run on the opposite belief, a kind of quiet abundance, not arrogance, just a settled sense that the right connection arrives when it fits. And forcing it has never once worked. So they wait. Not passively, they're building full, textured lives, but they refuse to perform, refuse to shrink, refuse to talk anyone into wanting them. Picture someone watching every friend couple up, break up, recouple, panic about the timeline, and they just keep building. People assume they're lonely. They're not. They're simply done treating a relationship like a seat they have to grab before the music stops. And here's the part that surprises people. Research on relationships keeps finding that people who feel genuinely free to leave, who aren't staying out of fear, tend to build the healthiest bonds when they finally do commit. The refusal to chase was never the absence of desire. It's the presence of standards. And then there's the third group, the ones who didn't get burned and don't even have to try not to settle. Because they solved the equation sitting underneath all of this group doesn't chase relationships for the most disarming reason of all. They don't need one. And I want to be careful here, because "you complete me" might be the most beautiful lie our culture ever sold us. It sounds romantic. It's actually the root of a quiet, widespread kind of suffering. Because if another person completes you, then without them, you are by definition incomplete. You're a half, looking for a half. And halves chase. There's a concept in psychology called differentiation of self, the ability to stay close to the people you love without dissolving into them, without losing the shape of who you are. Highly differentiated people can be deeply, genuinely intimate and remain themselves. And the same framework we hit in the money video shows up here too, self-determination theory. The finding that stable well-being grows from autonomy, competence, and connection you choose, not connection you cling to. This third group built a self that stands on its own 2 feet. Their work, their friendships, their curiosity, their quiet Tuesday mornings. They already have a life they'd be reluctant to interrupt for just anyone. So to them, a relationship isn't a rescue. It's not a missing piece. It's an addition to something that's already whole, and that changes everything about how they move through the world. They don't chase, because chasing is what you do when you're trying to fill a hole, and they're not trying to fill anything. There's a quiet confidence in the person who could genuinely stay single another 5 years and be okay. And here's the paradox. That is almost always the exact person everyone else finds magnetic. Which brings us to the mechanism sitting underneath all 3 of these, the thing almost nobody actually explains. Here's the reframe that ties this whole thing together, and it's not a motivational poster idea, it's psychological. There is a profound difference between chasing love and attracting it. When you chase, you are broadcasting one specific signal: I need you to choose me so that I can feel okay. And here's the cruel irony the chaser never sees. That signal, the neediness itself, is often the very thing that pushes people away. Not because wanting connection is bad. Wanting connection is deeply human. But desperation repels, because on some ancient wiring level, it reads as low value, as nobody else wanted this, so it must be on sale. I know how harsh that sounds. Stay with me, because there is something genuinely freeing on the other side of it. Think about what's actually happening in the brain of a chaser. That person who left you on read, then texted back just enough to keep you hoping? That isn't love keeping you hooked. That's intermittent reinforcement, the same unpredictable reward schedule that makes slot machines. And, yes, the money chase we talked about last time, so brutally addictive. Your brain confuses the anxiety of not knowing with the intensity of love. You think you're falling for them. Really? You're just dysregulated. The people who don't chase have, sometimes through pain, sometimes through sheer wisdom, stepped off that treadmill too. And when they stopped chasing, something quiet and enormous happened. They stopped abandoning themselves. Because that's what chasing actually is. Underneath, a slow, polite self-abandonment. Every time you shrink to seem more palatable, silence a need so you won't look too much, rearrange your entire self to fit someone who is never even sure about you, you are teaching yourself, one small betrayal at a time, that you come second. The people who don't chase simply stopped doing that. They decided they would rather be fully themselves and alone than half of themselves and chosen. And here's the payoff nobody warns you about. When you stop chasing, you don't become unlovable. You become clear. People can finally see who you actually are because you're no longer performing a carefully edited version of yourself built to be picked. And the right people are drawn to that clarity like a signal cutting through noise. Now, let's be honest about the other edge of this, because it matters. Not chasing can be deeply healthy. It can also be a hiding place. There's a real difference between I'm whole and I'm open to connection when it's right, and I've built a fortress so that nothing can ever reach me again. The first is freedom. The second is fear wearing freedom's clothing. If you don't chase because you're genuinely at peace, that's beautiful. If you don't chase because you're quietly terrified, and I don't need anyone is just the story that keeps you safe, that's worth looking at honestly and gently. This was never about becoming cold, or avoiding love, or pretending you don't want to be held. It's about the difference between wanting connection and needing it so badly you'll abandon yourself to get it. Because here's what all three of these people quietly understand. Love was never meant to be something you earn by chasing hard enough. The person who chases is always, on some level, auditioning, and an audition never actually ends. There's always another callback, another test, another reason you're not quite enough yet. But the person who knows they're already whole isn't auditioning for anyone. They stopped trying to be chosen and started simply being, and letting the right people choose to walk toward that. It's the same quiet truth as the money. The moment you stop chasing something to complete you and realize you were already enough as you are, the wanting loses its grip. And you're free. Not free from love, free from the desperate, self-abandoning pursuit of it. So if you've ever felt a little out of step because you're just not out there hunting for someone, you might not be cold, or damaged, or behind. You might have understood, earlier than most, that the best connections were never chased. They were attracted by a person who finally stopped abandoning themselves to be loved. So, which one are you? The one who got guarded? The one who refuses to settle? Or the one who's genuinely whole on their own? Tell me down in the comments. I actually read them. And honestly, this is the conversation I most want to have with you. And if this hits somewhere real, you'll want the next one, the psychology of people who don't have many friends. Because it is not what most people think, and it's closer to everything we just talked about than you'd expect. Subscribe, and I'll see you in that one. You're in good company here.